Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Then go over to morbidlybeautiful.com as we are now part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcasting Network.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You'll too! You'll too! You'll too!
Everybody here dies by dawn. Dead by dawn!
Welcome to the Spookshow. Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the All-American Spookshow podcast. I'm Josh. I'm joined here with Tiana.
Hey.
And the Professor Smoke.
What's up?
And we're putting an end to the Polar Predators event. We've had enough and we're tapping out. You know, when we first started putting this together, we had a list. I mean, it wasn't like a mile long, but you know, we felt like we had a decent little list of things to choose from. And we still do. I mean, there's still some stuff we didn't talk about, but like the one conclusion I guess I kind of came to throughout was like, there was some pretty good ones in here, but there weren't a lot of quality ones in there. I don't think there certainly wasn't as many as I was thinking there would be of like these type of movies, right?
Yeah, I think we ran through we didn't run through all of them, but we probably ran through the best of them, right?
Yeah.
Of the Yeti movies, at least. I mean, there's probably other predator or other polar style predators, but we were kind of trying to get most of the Yeti movies in here.
Yeah.
Most of them are probably 90-something%, if not more. Maybe more like 98% of them are Yeti movies, right?
Yeah.
So, there's some other polar predators, man. One thing, though, we probably won't be getting around to doing another edition of Polar Predators for some time. So we can amass another list because, I mean, we did run through quite a few of the good ones.
Yeah. And plus, too, like we've kind of decided that our summer event, which is normally where we save these big, crossover events for, so to speak, we're going to kind of connect it to this, except it won't be snow monsters and Yetis. It's going to be Sasquatches. So whatever we decide to call it, Summer of the Sasquatch, whatever the hell. We know
there's a ton more of those.
Yeah, we know there's tons of those. We'll see as we get through that this summer whether they're any better or not, but I have a feeling it probably will be. But I mean, not that this has been disappointing. Honestly, I've had more fun with a lot of the stuff that we've done on Grindhouse Gutter and Video Vortex over the last 2 months than I have here on the podcast. You know, there was fun to be had, but overall, I think this is another example of it as a mid at best kind of thing, right? And today we're going to be talking about Abominable from 2020. Now, this was Will's choice, although obviously Will is not here to talk about it, that lucky bastard. But he had to pick a recent one. And recent with our new criteria is in the last 5 years. And there was only on the list we had, Tiana, we had this one, and what was that called? Primevals?
Yeah.
And that's the one that we kind of wanted, right? Because that one looked interesting.
Yeah.
If nothing else. But this one, maybe not so much. But, they're not all going to be winners, right? That's kind of the way I look at it. They're not all going to be winners. So that's why we watch them to find out, and that's why we talk about it, right?
Yeah.
We do.
And one thing I can say about this movie before we get into it too much, it kind of lifted it up. Two things that lifted it up a little bit. One, that we watched it not back to back, but within a day of Secret of the Ice Cave, the Cannon Fodder episode.
The one that we did last week, yeah.
Yeah, so we watched that, and then we watched Abominable. And that, because Secret of the Ice Cave was so terrible and boring, it actually made Abominable seem slightly better by comparison. And also, there was at least, the gore score is going to be a little bit juicier for this one, and that was good. That always ups It always ups it. We always talk about, like, if you're going to have a movie be shitty as far as every other department, the script, the acting, the cinematography, et cetera, at least throw some gore in there to make it a little bit more interesting and entertaining. And they at least did do that. So,
yeah, and it's not wall-to-wall gore, but there's gore moments in it. But, now that you say that, I was thinking of the movies that we've watched here in the Polar Predators event, this is probably the goriest movie, right? At least in certain parts.
It probably is, yeah. I mean, the Grindhouse movie, we did Shriek of the Mutilated, and we've done what, was the Yeti? No, the Yeti wasn't on, the Paul Nash one wasn't. That was a regular episode.
Yeah, not a Howling Beast.
Yeah, and those had some, 70s style gore, and it had a little bit of gore in it, but not maybe as much as this one did.
Yeah.
And this one's not wall to wall either, like I said.
No,
it's there.
But in those moments, like, oh, okay, shit, we're doing this, like that. So that definitely brings it up, and we'll find out where we all land on it at the end. But that at least made it a little bit more interesting because the rest of the movie was not. Outside of those moments, it's like, oh my god, what the hell? What is going on?
In fact, you could tell they pretty much made this because they probably had whoever. I didn't really look that deep into who did the effects for the movie, But I guess they got somebody on board who could handle these types of effects. So they said, let's just throw a bare bones shit script together so we can, get to these almost like a a Yeti slasher movie, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, very much. Yeah. And we'll get into that. But before we do, I wanted to throw out the usual information. We encourage you to go visit aaspookshow.com. That's the center of the Spook Show universe, where from there you can go check out the rest of our podcast archives, all 250-something episodes prior to this one. You can also go to our YouTube channel from there, where every month, as we just mentioned a second ago, we do Video Vortex, we do Grindhouse Gutter, and we do Hammer Horror in Order series, which that hasn't been touched by Polar Predators. But lots of cool videos just about every week, every month over on our YouTube channel. So we encourage you to check that out. And we also want you to become a patron of the Spook Show. Going to patreon.com/spookshow. You can also reach that from aaspookshow.com. And you'll get lots of bonus content when you join up over there, and helps out the Spook Show and everything. And we don't mention this enough, but we also want people to go give us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to the podcast, because those kind of things, word of mouth type of things, right, helps us get to more ears and eyes and all that jazz. So we would really appreciate that if you do. And if you do leave a review over there on Apple, at least, we'll read those here on the show. So we encourage you to go do that for us and help us out. So without any further buildup, we'll go and toss to the trailer for Abominable.
Something is amongst us here in the mountains. It is far greater than we could have ever imagined.
There's no signal coming in or out. This place is sitting in a dead zone.
What the hell were they doing here?
Don't come looking for us. There's something out here.
It wasn't a random killing. This was a warning.
We are caught in a natural anomaly, a prehistoric gap.
We're being followed.
An abominable creature.
It's real. Come on! We don't know where this creature is or what it's doing here.
All right, so there you go. That's the trailer for that. The one thing that we had noticed before is that, like, it's almost like some kind of legal requirement. Are you talking about a Yeti or a snowman? Then it has to have the word abominable in it. And I don't know why that is. Like, well, I think we counted at least 2 or 3 other movies just straight up called Abominable. And then, of course, there's a number of Abominable Snowman, like we did that. So I wonder why that word always has to be attached to it. It's kind of weird. I don't know. One of those.
Yeah, I don't know where.
things.
Be interesting to see where that first did get attached to, because I mean, like I said, it was there. The Hammer film is from what, 56 or 58? One of those, somewhere in there, 57, somewhere in there.
56 or 57, maybe. I don't know, somewhere around there. Yeah.
So that's probably the earliest movie that I know of. I mean, it's the early. There could be more. I mean, there's more, but that's the earliest one I can think of that uses that. And I'm not saying that they came up with it. I mean, it's probably been part of that folklore name since before that, and they just used it maybe, but I don't know where it was first used. And I know that also was in the Rudolph thing, right? The claymation Rankin Bass.
Bumble.
They call him Bumble.
Yeah.
Short for Abominable.
Yeah. Another thing too is that attachment to the Himalayas, because that was one thing I didn't catch, but somewhere in here, I guess they said it because I saw it in a synopsis. This movie that we're about to talk about, it's in the Himalayas, which I didn't feel like that or put it together when I was watching it. But yeah, apparently it's in the Himalayas. That really doesn't even jive with the end of the movie. And we'll get to that here in just a few minutes. The very end where what they're talking about, what's going on here. That doesn't even jive with that. So like, I don't know what the fuck, but.
No, I didn't even catch that. I didn't even catch that bit of dialogue or whatever, but you would think if that were the case that they would at least use some sort of, if they weren't going to be able to do it themselves because they didn't have the budget, at least buy some footage, some stock footage of the mountains of the Himalayas.
Yeah,
so at least set that's where you are. Because otherwise it's just any snowy, because they set everything real close. And that's probably why they didn't want to get too wide, because then you'd know there's no mountain range.
Yeah. Then you'd realize there's no massive Himalayan mountain range behind them. So
Yeah.
fuck it. Let's just keep it basically contained to this building, whatever that building is, and then this general area around the building. That's all this is.
Yeah. Shoot everything really close up, kind of.
Yeah.
Or medium at best. You know?
Best I can tell, this movie has no rating. It officially debuted April 14th of 2020, and that was straight to digital and DVD. So I don't know. I'm assuming this was probably straight to Tubi type of thing. There's not a lot of information, from our usual sources on those kind of things. So I watched it on Tubi, right? I would imagine that's how you guys watched it, right? So
yeah,
I would imagine back in April of 2020, that's where it debuted. Because this definitely feels like a Tubi movie, right? No doubt about that.
yeah.
The only other alternate title that I could find for it was apparently in the UK, it's just called Yeti. So I guess they didn't want to worry with the word abominable. So they just called it what it is. It's Yeti. But pretty much everywhere else around the world, it's called Abominable. So go figure.
Well, one thing too that you never usually don't see in these modern type Yeti movies is them refer to it by. I think they used the word abominable and abominable snowman and Yeti all in this movie.
They did,
which a lot of times they try to avoid those types of, I guess, terming them that way. Kind of like zombie movies. A lot of times, Romero's especially, he would never call them zombies. None of the actors in the movie would call them zombies in the movie. They call them the undead, that something. But yeah, you usually don't hear those terms in the actual Yeti movies.
Isn't it even like a line? It's something like, the monster is terrible. It's abominable. And then you're almost waiting for him to turn to the camera like, huh? We used the word, the end. It's directed by, I've never heard of this director, but he's a director producer. His name is Jamal Burden. Like, as in, this is a burden to watch. He may be best known for his classic movies that we've all known and loved over the years, such as Elf in the Hood and Operation Black Ops and Tales from the Other Side. So yeah, this sounds like he just must be on the Tubi payroll or something, because that's what these movies sound like. Right? Written by J.D. Ellis and Joseph Daniel Ellis. It stars Katrina Matson, Amy Gordon, and Robert Berlin. Have you ever heard of them? Nope, me either. I don't think anyone has. Once again, it's like the Tubi cast, right? Like, because almost nobody in this movie you've probably seen in anything else whatsoever. I seriously doubt. And if you have, you just watched the shit out of Tubi movies. That'd be my guess.
Seek help for that.
But there are, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's something wrong with you. There are two people in this movie though that I just have to point out because they got a funny last name. Their last name, both of them their last name is Congo. There's Liz Congo and Deanna Grace Congo. So, like, I don't know what's going on there. This movie was, at least the main portion of this movie, according to IMDb, was shot in Russia. What is it? St. Petersburg, Russia, where they said they had filmed the biggest part of the movie. Now, there were other... That was the main location of shooting. I'm sorry, St. Petersburg, Russia. There were some outdoor scenes. Talk about a different landscape. Some outdoor scenes shot in Massachusetts. And then there was an additional scene shot in Poznan, Poland. So they were all over the world with this thing.
And for the astute viewer of the podcast, no, you won't pick up on this because we didn't mention it, but if you've seen The Secret of the Ice Cave and you watched it back to back with Abominable, which I don't recommend you do that at all, we did that.
Unfortunately.
Olga Volga from Secret of the Ice Cave, her tombstone says that she was born in St. Petersburg. So there's a tie-in with these two movies for some weird reason.
So if you're interested in really deep cuts and
you want to torture yourself to death, watch these two back to back.
In connection with the Spook Show and Cannon Fodder and everything, there's your deepest of cuts that the professor could possibly throw at you.
Mr. Projectionist, stop the show. Here's great news you ought to know. We've just got a shipment of taste-thrilled treats, all tip-top quality and delicious eats. There are hot dogs and popcorn and candy galore. There's soft drinks and coffee and a whole lot more. So direct your steps to our refreshment stand to enjoy the finest snacks in all the land.
For you, the listeners of the All-American Spook Show podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. So I hopped on over to audible.com, and this time I just typed in the word abominable to see what would pop up, and damned if we're never surprised really that it found something. We've got The Abominable, a novel by Dan Simmons. Wasn't that the guy? He wrote something else like I'm blanking.
Yeah.
It's a big one too.
His name's familiar.
Yeah, it's probably a big one too. Well, he wrote The Terror. I just looked it up real fast. There's some other stuff. He's a known writer. Yeah, so he wrote a book called The Abominable. So that would probably be pretty good. And that one's almost 30 hours long. So it's a novel for sure.
It's on Donnie's list, I bet.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, I'm sure.
Short
He's probably already listened to it. What are we talking about here? It's Donnie.
That's why he's not on the show.
Exactly. He's not here because he's in hour 20 of listening to The Abominable right now. We've got Abominable, a supernatural horror thriller series by Nikki Huntsman Smith. That one is about 9.5 hours long. And then let's see, we've got The Snow Giants, a Yeti thriller by KT Tomb. And that one's just over 3 hours long. So proof positive.
In case you didn't want Yeti horror, you can listen to Yeti thriller. Yeah,
there you go. So it's proof positive. You go over to audible.com and you type in just about anything, you'll find something for sure. We've proven that over the years. So to go check that out, that's audibletrial.com/spookshow to get your free audiobook. So I'm going to hop back over to imdb.com and I'm going to click on plot summary. I'd be shocked if there's more than one here on this one. Wow. Call me shocked. There's two. There's two descriptions of this on here. They're both pretty brief, but still. The first one is a scientific expedition team searching the Himalayan mountains. See, there it is. For a rare plant which could change the face of modern medicine, find themselves hunted by a territorial Yeti. Some would also call him a Jason Voorhees type slasher villain too. But
so it begs the question, is there any such thing as a non-territorial Yeti? It's like, y'all, everybody's welcome.
Yeah. Come on in. I'll kill you. I'll kill you good.
Come
on. Then there's the slightly longer one. A research team embarks on a journey to obtain a plant that can advance medical research by centuries. While stumbling upon clues of the previous expedition, they discover that a Yeti creature lurks within the Himalayan mountains and will do anything to protect its terrain. So that's both descriptions talking about the Himalayas. And man, I just, if they said it, it must have been a passing line.
Oh yeah, I totally missed it too. Like I said, I would have thought this was in the hills of North Carolina, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm just thinking like, somewhere out west or something.
That's where it was shot at somewhere.
Yeah,
somewhere, yeah.
Maybe some pickup shots or something.
Area.
Otherwise, it was shot in Russia. Which I don't know. Once again, we don't have a budget or what this thing made, or which I doubt it made a dime kind of thing. But other than just whatever Tubi pays for new content, but you would think they had to have spent most of their budget just getting everybody to Russia and Poland to shoot this.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that was exactly. I mean, well, yes, I don't know.
Well, deal is
the last movie, Secret of the Ice Caves, was shot in Chile.
Yeah.
Cannon have to go to Chile to shoot that. I mean, like you said, it must have been some sort of deals they got.
Yeah. Deal is the thing. Yeah, that's the key word.
Maybe the same way here.
They must have got a cut. They got something where somebody paid to have it made there or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think you start right at the beginning, because I knew we were going to be in for a long ride right at the beginning when the first kill is off camera. And I was like, oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. Here we go.
Right. Yeah, this is weak. This is going to be weak.
Yeah.
But they kind of lull you. They kind of lull you with that first kill, because they do get a little bit juicier from there on. Right?
It did. But like that one, I was just like, oh no. It's going to be one of those ones where like we don't really see, like you hear it happen at best. Maybe you see a splatter of blood and that's it. I'm like, fuck. And the production of this is ass. One of my notes a little bit later on is just the cinematography in particular is just straight ass.
Terrible.
In this movie. It's bad.
You don't even know how to frame a shot, much less,
no.
edit them.
Oh yeah. When you're sitting there watching, like, when there actually is moments of dialogue and then they just start disappearing, their heads start disappearing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit. Pull it up.
Yeah.
Pull it up.
They're like looking out into the woods. Well, no, they're not even looking in the woods. They're looking at each other talking. The camera's out in the woods.
Yeah.
So you're like thinking, am I supposed to be seeing something out here?
It just drifts over to the left. Oh yeah, and then the rack focus or whatever, the trees and shit behind them are in more focus than the person that it's supposed to be focusing on. I'm like, oh my
they forgot to simply pull in the zoom and focus and pull out. They're
God
like,
almighty.
oh, shit.
But
Let's go with it. I guess.
The drift was clearly like somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, and they got it on a tripod at best. Maybe it's moving.
Oh yeah,
that's what's going on because the top of their heads start to disappear, or it just starts. There was one shot that I think kind of starts below them, and they're talking, but it's not showing anything in particular. It's like basically it's focusing on the middle of their body, but it's not for a reason. It's just
it's just,
and then it just kind of drifts.
I'm supposed to be looking at something.
Like you said, you're looking for the Yeti in the background. But there's nothing, And I love too in parts of the movie when they hear something or they think there's something out there, and they're looking like it's a pretty clear forest, right? Where they are, there are trees, but like this thing ain't that slick, So like. It's a wide open space, and they're looking around, and then the monster just comes at them from the front when they clearly should be looking straight at this fucking thing. That happens a number of times. Or like later on in
the movie where the guy stumbles over an arm, and there's an arm laying in the snow, and he didn't see it until he's basically like standing on top of it almost.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing but white snow all over the ground, and there's just one dark item in the middle. Like you think you would see that. Before you just fall all over it. So the first guy that gets killed, that's off camera, but the second guy, it's on camera, but basically all I can tell you is just get smacked to death. Like literally like pow, pow. Just smacks this motherfucker to death.
There was a little bit of torn flesh aftermath, right? When he shows his body on the ground or whatever it was, a little bit of torn flesh. A little bit.
And they didn't want to show they still didn't want to show the creature all the way there.
So you can tell what they're doing, what they're trying to do is build suspense, I guess, right? And build your like they didn't show the first kill much at all. The second one just a little bit. Then you get to the third one, you get a little bit more.
The third one is up to that point. Obviously, like you said, it builds up. It's the best one because that's the guy that gets bashed into a tree over and over and over. And it's not quite as gory as you would think it would be, considering what's coming. But still, it's the best up to that point, right?
Yeah, when we say he gets his head bashed in, sometimes you're thinking if it's a gory movie, you're thinking, wow, his skull crushes in and you see all the brain matter or something. No, it's just smashing his face and you see blood, a little bit more blood, on his face. Then he falls on the ground and he's got slight little tear, latex appliance tear to the face or whatever. Not as, like you said, as gory as you would think from bashing his head that many times. But again, they're ramping it up a little bit more.
Was it just me or did it take me... Maybe it was just I was like, I didn't really have much interest in this other than these kill scenes. It took me a while to really piece together what the fuck they were doing up here. Right?
Yeah. And then when you
describe everything, this movie, like right when it starts, it's just like boom.
Yeah.
It just goes.
And remember, there is in that very first scene where the guy gets killed off screen, he's got the flower. Remember, they show that flower laying on the ground. But you don't know what the fuck that is. Okay, well, that's just maybe it's an artistic choice. Who knows? Then you eventually figure out.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah,
because it's in like a glass dome or something too, right? Like I've got the flower, whoa, and then the guy gets taken away, but you don't know what the significance of that is. But still, it takes them a long time to finally coming around to. Then there's this whole long dialogue thing where this woman is dying of brain cancer, and she's up there looking for this flower that's supposedly supposed to be the miracle cure, right? And that's kind of I guess the main point of the movie, other than the Yeti monster, but. So essentially, I guess in the end, it's the monster going beyond being territorial. I guess he's protecting this flower, I guess.
So the other thing I got out of it is if you're watching it and they keep revealing more and more of the Yeti, you realize, damn, he doesn't have that much hair. maybe I was like, maybe these scientists were doing something up there with some sort of chemical that is making all his hair fall out. And he's like, I'm fucking cold, you motherfucker. So he just starts slaughtering them. But I guess that's not what it was. But
and he's always constantly got like snow on his shoulders too. You notice that? Like just always, that is a poor suit. And I think maybe that's one of the problems with the movie is that like, it's not the worst looking suit we've seen. I mean, obviously we watched Night of the Howling Beast, so that's pretty bad, but, it's still pretty bad. And I think they get to a point where they make you look at it too much. If you weren't, if they didn't, maybe if they just kind of showed him from behind or made him move a little quicker or something and didn't make you stare at it so much, it wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah, a good juxtaposition here would be the other Abominable that we watched, where they, like you said, they didn't show too much of him at first, and they didn't show too much of him moving.
Yeah.
To where,
Yes.
they show this one moving, trying to move through the snow and stuff, and very herky jerky, slow movements.
Yeah.
Not very convincing. Right?
So I think that's the lesson I take away from this whole event we've done and other monster movies that are similar to this, where like, just don't show it that much or don't key in on it too much. Show it in quick spurts and show it when you need to. But otherwise, if you make us stare at it, you're going to see how shitty it looks, is what.
Yeah.
That's the conclusion.
I don't know if that's the case with this movie, but you get the gist that sometimes these movies, the special effects person's very proud of what they do. And maybe the director is too, wow, it looks awesome. Let's shoot it all over the place. Let's shoot it from this angle, shoot it from that, and shoot it doing this. But no, sometimes less is better to make it a bit more realistic.
Am I saying I could do any better? No. But I'm also not claiming to be Tom Savini or anybody. You know what I mean? Like, let's leave it to guys like that. I guess that's the point.
But that's a good point. But even Savini knows not to show too much of it. Like when he did
Faster is Better.
For instance, the crate, that creature in the crate from the episode, The Crate of Spookshow.
Oh God.
He didn't show too much of that, of Fluffy or whatever it was. He didn't really show much of it at all until the very last segment of it.
Yeah.
You just made me
even
think
that was not,
You just made me think of the creature from To Catch a Yeti that we did on Video Vortex. That's another one where it's like, it looks fine enough, but you have to stare at it too much where you're like, God, this is stupid. It looks so dumb. But even that looks better than this. Right? Mm-hmm. And
my hair.
And this was made, and that movie was made in 1995 compared to this was in 2020.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Another horrible thing in this movie is the shooting of the guns.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I get it. You're not really shooting blanks or anything. Like, you're not really shooting the gun, but at least move the gun, right? They don't.
Yeah,
they shoot and just
at least fake that. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even fake
a little.
Yeah, just if you've got a pistol, go bam, bam. No, they're just like bam, bam, and then it like there's animated muzzle flash on the front of the guns when it's not moving, so it's bam, 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 real stiff, and
they couldn't even sync up the sound of the gunshots to the actual guns in the proper time, because there's times when he would he's shooting in the middle of shooting. Of course, it's not the shoulder movement is just steady holding the gun and moving it, and you're hearing it, and then he drops the gun, you're still hearing the sound of the bullets as he's lowering the gun. Like, what's he doing, shooting into the snow as he's no,
and talking about firing weapons into nothing. Okay, first and foremost, most of this movie is daylight, like full glaring daylight, right? Like there's not a lot of nighttime scenes, so you see everything pretty well in a clearing with snow, and it's pretty bright, and they're just shooting into nothing. I thought I heard something. Bam, bam, bam. How do you know that's not a man you're shooting at? You're just bam, bam. They're just fucking firing. I mean, it's a wonder like friendly fire didn't kill half of them, before you even got to the damn Yeti. The next kill, which was the fourth guy, we'll see whether this is the highlight kill or not, but it might be. He's attacked and gets his arm ripped off. And then as he's down screaming on the ground, the Yeti monster just grabs like the bottom of his jaw and I guess kind of rips his jaw off or down or something, right? Like he does that. Like he's just got like almost like separates his mouth kind of thing, right?
Yeah. The lower hidden jaw part.
That was pretty good. That was the one I was like, okay, this movie sucks, but that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Whatever talent they had, that was the scene right there. That one and the one coming up at the end.
Applying that psychology properly of like, all right, we don't have much to work with here, so just shoot, throw some gore in there.
Yeah.
Some good gore.
Well, at least they make sure that they filmed it properly. There are the scenes that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because with this crew, it's highly possible that like, you got this holy shit thing going on here, and then the camera just pans up into the clouds. As this guy's getting his jaw ripped apart, it just floats up for no reason, or shows the snow. Like, thankfully they did show it, and it's not brief either. I mean, like you're sitting there watching it. I mean, it's not like a full minute or anything, but you're watching it. Like it's on. It's not pulled away. It's here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely of everything in this movie that has the best production quality. It would be those gore effects.
It was about this time in the movie, though, not long after that, where you had another long scene of dialogue, and you're like, "What? who cares? What the hell's going on here? That it went to a commercial. And then I was like, you know what? This is the highlight of the movie. Because when you watch it on Tubi, you have to watch commercials. I was like, oh, thank God for a commercial. The only thing that sucks about that is that prolongs the experience. But other than that,
yeah.
Where the commercials have a higher budget and more believability than the actual film you're watching itself. The
Thank
fifth,
God, maybe it was only a little over an hour.
It was only an hour and 20 something.
No, I don't even think it was that. Well, I think technically it was an hour and 12. Hour and 12 with credits. I think without credits, it was like an hour 8.
Yeah.
Well, chalk up one more positive.
Yeah, exactly.
The first positive isn't really the movie being the first positive was the fact that we watched Secret of the Ice Cave the day before, and then we watched this one.
Yeah,
that's nothing the movie did itself.
What's the
And
word?
the gore effect. Yeah.
What's the word for that? It was interminably long, right? Is that the
Yeah. That one you're like sitting there, God, how long's it been? And it's only been 10 minutes.
God,
feels like it's been an hour already.
Yeah.
But yeah, with this movie, the pacing, at least it's an hour and whatever you said, 12 minutes, 17, whatever. At least it's mercifully short.
Yeah.
So that combined with the gore, it's two positives.
Yeah, because that one you're like, this is the longest week I've ever spent watching an hour and 40-minute movie.
Hey, yeah.
This one, at least, like you said, it was brief, so there's that. But the next guy, the fifth guy that gets killed by the Yeti is he gets his neck bitten out. it goes like kind of vampire dog maul on him,
zombie,
right? Yeah, zombie-ish. Yeah.
Yeah, that was speaking of Tom Savini, you mentioned Tom Savini earlier. That effect, well, a lot of these effects kind of reminded me of that, but especially this one because Savini always used for flesh ripping. He would always use that latex and just cover it with fake blood, and it very much looks like flesh ripping.
Mm-hmm.
So that reminded me of a Savini effect. Sure.
So then that naturally leads us to the end where there's a big showdown with there's two women and a guy that are kind of fighting over, I guess, the flower and then the Yeti. It's like, I guess this guy's like, fuck the flower. We need to take the Yeti. Like, we need to prove that there's a fucking, which I guess he has a good point, right? Like, this might be the miracle drug, but we just found a fucking Yeti. So there's that. So there's a tussle there, but then the monster attacks and it rips this dude's face off. And it's like cartoonish, snatches it off and just pulls his fucking face right off. So it's like you see his muscles and everything. And it's like almost like They Live, for a second.
Yeah.
His face.
Yeah.
He's got the muscle face with the gore and everything. And then he falls down. And then the thing, I don't know exactly what he's doing, but I guess he just kind of just
starts wailing on his back.
Yeah, he just pounds the dude's back into just a gory mess, right?
Bloody, like an open back with his like ribs pulled out the back. I mean, he didn't pull the ribs out the back. He's just smashing him down. Then when it shows the aftermath, is like his ribs are just hanging out of his back and stuff.
So once again, this is a pretty good effect, right? I mean, like, especially the face ripping thing and everything. Like, this is like, it's like there's hints in this movie of like, there's some talent here somewhere. I don't know exactly what name to attach to that, but there's some talent somewhere here. But just the overall product is.
Into that. Whoever did those effects, they need to just get with some better writing or whatever.
Yeah, or take a few classes at the Savini School or something to kind of hone your craft because you got something, but you just need to get better at it. I guess however you want to put. You need some more practice. I don't know, but there's something there. But then the movie actually ends not long after that, where of course, like every movie like this, the cops finally show up once the shit has gone down, and there's this weird dialogue with one of the cops and the one survivor. But like, I'm surprised you guys were up here on account of what night it is. She's like, what night is that? Well, it's the night of the Yeti where we like close the area off and we don't let anybody up here. And then there was something about for some reason she asked, well, what's the name of this town? Like, okay, wait a minute. We're in the Himalayas, right? This is what we've been told.
Yeah.
There's no name, but she's like, but anyways, she's like, there hasn't been a name for this place in a long time. And you would think there would be, considering there's so many. She says something like dinosaurs and flying yee-yaws or something like that. And I'm like, wait. And then that basically ends. But I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Like, were they setting up their own little universe of monsters up here or something? Like, what the hell was that? Let's hope there's never a follow-up to this. That's all I can say. And if there is, let's hope we never have to watch it. So there you go.
Yeti and the Secret of the Ice Caves.
There's not enough cocaine in the world, Smoke. So anyway, this was Will's choice. He's not here, so maybe at some point he'll give us his 2 cents, and Donnie as well. But I guess I'll get started. Man, this is a tough one. Like, there's something here, but it's just so poorly executed that, like, I can't give it a high rating, but, like, I'm also not going to, like, put it down there with, like, one of the worst things we've ever seen, although I never want to watch it again. So I guess I'll just stick it somewhere in the middle of somewhere around what a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago when we watched Snow Monster. I gave that 1 star. That's probably about where this is. It's not the worst. There's something there, but it's not something I would want to go out of my way to watch again. So, Tiana, what do you say?
Wasn't for that shitty cinematography.
Yeah.
There was, you asked Brian, I kind of got excited when the Yeti appeared because I knew he was about to tear some shit up, and that was the only good
Or
part.
when he would just kind of, when he would appear behind a tree, like way off in the distance, like Jason Voorhees or something, right? Like,
yeah. So I'll probably give it a 1.5.
I smoke
I think somebody should watch it if they really want to see, the gore scenes. I mean, you could just skim through it and watch it. But...
True. Yeah, you could probably just skip all the bullshit in between because who cares? And then just go straight.
Yeah.
There needs to be some 5-minute supercut of this movie. That might be entertaining.
Yeah, I agree. It's the gore is really the only saving grace of this movie, and the other 2 things I mentioned, the fact that it's shorter, the pacing. Even though it's short, it feels a little bit long because, like, if this movie had been an hour and a half, even, or God forbid, an hour and 40-something minutes, like Secret of the Ice Cave, it would have been a real chore getting through it as well. So I think the fact that it's only that hour and, would you say 12 minutes or so, somewhere in there?
Yeah, hour 12 with credits. I think it's more like an hour 8, hour 9, something like that.
Well, that was with credits. Oh, yeah. So that definitely helped it out a little bit there, and then again, with no benefit of the movie or whatever, but the fact that we watched it after Secret of the Ice Cave, that made my enjoyment of this a little bit higher. So
yeah,
but not too high. I think I'll probably go also. I guess I'll probably go 1 as well. Entertaining for what it is, as far as with the gore in there. You take the gore out of this movie, and you got nothing almost. So that's right. I mean, you take the gore out, and you got a quarter, maybe, of a star or something like that. So again, this movie proves that the thing right that we said, if you got nothing else to go on, just add some gore effects to it, and at least it will bump up the entertainment value of watching that a little bit more. So when you got this type of a horror movie, which is basically a Yeti slasher movie, pretty much.
That, and one of the things that we always say is, like, keep it brief. Like, there's no need for this.
Yes.
There's absolutely zero need for this to be an hour and a half, right? So, like, thank God they stuck to that.
2 things right there going for it: the gore and the short, runtime pacing and everything.
Well, there you go. That with the 3 of our scores combined, it comes out to a 1.1 stars. So we definitely don't recommend it, although we do recommend the gore scene. So if you just want to kind of zip through it and catch those, go do that. Otherwise, don't bother. Donnie is not here to give us his connections from the crypt, but Tiana, what kind of kill count number did you come up for with this one?
I know it was 6, but it might have been 7 because of the girl at the end with the brain cancer.
Yeah. We didn't even mention her. Like, she just fell out.
Know. Really, you never
get back to her to find out anything.
The girl at the very end, and you never said or anything. So yeah, I guess 7, but the 6 is all
on screen. Anyways.
Yeah, mostly all on screen. The Yeti.
That's probably about right. Yeah, because I don't remember taking a head count of how many were in the group, but she was the only one that survived it. And then I guess you got to count the woman that just. Here, take the flower, and then just passed out, I guess, or whatever the fuck happened to her. So we're going to assume she died.
She said herself right early in the movie that if it comes between me and the plan, I'd rather die and
I'll choose
the plan or whatever
it
was she said. Anyway, so possibly that's what she did, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah. Let's talk about the kill reel.
Highlight kill.
For me, I guess the highlight kill. I could see it either way, but I'm going to go with the jaw ripping. I mean, the guy at the end with the face rip off and then the back, that was pretty good. I'm not, splitting hairs, 1A and 1B, right?
Yeah.
But I think that one where the dude gets his arm ripped off and then like basically just like this his mouth unhinged. That was the first like holy shit of the movie for me.
Yeah.
The other ones were kind of like, that's not bad. But then that one was like, oh, okay, here we go. So I think I'm going to go with that as the highlight kill. So that naturally leads us to you, Smoke, with the gore score.
Gore score.
As we mentioned all the gore scenes. Now they're spread out though. It's only an hour and 12-minute movie or so, but they're not. It's not like you're getting back to back. I mean, some of them are kind of close together, but they're not back to back to back. It's not a wall to wall gore movie.
No.
It's what you have that's there is cool. Although, like we said, the first kill was practically bloodless. The second kill, not so much. So the third kill, it was a guy getting his face smashed on the tree. You get a little bit more there. I mean, you do get more. It's very visceral. Even if there's not a whole lot of like face smashing, latex appliance gore, you get the sound of it. It's a very visceral scene.
Yeah,
with a lot of blood. But by the time you get to the fourth kill, you're really getting into. That's the one with the one with the jaw ripping. The fourth one.
Good. Yeah, I think it was.
I think so. Yeah. So from that point on, in the next few, so yeah, it's not prolonged throughout the entire movie, but what is there is good. I think. I'll go with I almost have to go with an 8 just on those 2 kills that were super like violently gory. The arm ripping, jaw ripping, the next guy getting his face ripped off and his pounded out basically, and then other than that, there's some ripping here and there a little bit in the face. The guy getting the smash face into the tree or whatever. So yeah, overall, I give it an 8, but that's mainly because of those 2 big kills. Because it wasn't very prolonged throughout the entire length of the movie. But again, the movie's only an hour and 12 minutes long. So
yeah.
For that being that short and having those kills all in there, I guess I'll give it an 8. I mean, some people might think that's high, and it is, but I think those 2 kills deserve that.
Yeah, for those moments, absolutely. Yeah, you have to kind of ramp it up because overall it's not, but in those moments it's pretty damn good. So,
yeah, like if you had seen more gore with those first 2 and even the third kill, I think that would even maybe push it up to 9.
Yeah,
maybe even getting close to 10 territory if you get because it would have been more prolonged. But I know they didn't want to do that throughout. They wanted to ramp it up a little bit. So,
which was probably a good choice to keep you invested. Yeah. Like each one got worse. So you're like, okay, well, like Tiana said, you actually got excited to see it because maybe this is going to be fucked up. So like, if you do build it up like that, it keeps you invested because the story certainly didn't. Right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So as far as here on the podcast proper, there might be some stuff that either Video Vortex or Grindhouse Gutter might come out. Schedule wise, I'm not sure how they stack up, but as far as here on the podcast, that is the end of the Polar Predators event. So I think I wouldn't say disappointing. It probably wasn't quite as good as I was hoping it would be overall, but there were some in here that we watched over the last month and a half here that were pretty good, that stood out. So we need to cleanse the palate though, moving out of this, because we're getting back to regular programming. So next week we're going to be doing Cult Corner, and we all selected something. We spun the wheel and it landed on my choice, which this is one that we've tried to get on here a couple of times, but it just hasn't worked out. So finally it's here. And we're going to be talking about a pure cult classic for sure, Scarface from 1983, the Al Pacino classic. So I'm really looking forward to this. And like I said, this is going to be totally different from a lot of stuff that we've been watching here lately, right? So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Probably.
You want to punch your teeth and say, that's the bad guy. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, there's going to be some quotes next week. You can just don't hold your breath and wait for that because it's coming. So, so there you go. So hopefully we get Donnie and or Will back and the rest of the gang, and we'll be coming at you next Monday for that. So for Donnie and Will, who couldn't be with us, Tiana, the Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We are the All-American Spook Show, and thanks for checking out all the Polar Predator stuff. But don't worry, we got tons of cool stuff coming, and then we'll have our summer event probably starting around Memorial Day or right after. So lots of cool stuff coming up. So we'll talk to you next week.
Please replace the speaker on its rack when you're ready to leave. Failure to do so will damage both the speaker and your car. We'll be grateful, and so will the patrons who follow you.